Okay, in 7.8b, we are going to factor polynomials ax squared plus bx plus c by grouping rather than by using the box method like we did last time. Okay, but first I'm going to go ahead and multiply this binomial times this binomial to remind you how we multiplied them in the first place so we can go backwards. Remember, we started with the first term and then we distributed it to the second binomial. So that's 6x to the second plus 30x, and then I take the next term in the first binomial. In this case, it's the positive 4, and I distribute it. 4 times 2 is 8x, 4 times 10 is 40. So you combine my like terms, I get 6x to the second plus 38x plus 40. Okay, and remember in the first half of the chapter we went this way, and this is multiplying or simplifying. Now we are starting with what was our answer and going back and putting it back into the factors, and this is called factoring. So we're going to factor again today. It says ax squared plus bx plus c because there's going to be a coefficient in front of the x squared. When there's just x squared there, we can do it in our head. When there's a coefficient there that we cannot factor out, we're gonna have to do it a different way. Okay, so this time we're gonna do it by grouping, which is similar to distributing. Okay, now we're going to start it off similarly to how we did the box. I'm going to multiply a times c, so this times this, 6 times 5 gives me 30. Okay, and then I'm going to think, what do I multiply to get 30? I'm going to check to see it adds up to the middle term. So if I were thinking of factors of 30, I might say, okay, it's 6 times 5, it's 3 times 10, it's 15 times 2, it's 30 times 1. Okay, but I want to check and see which of these terms add up to 13. That's going to have to be the 3 and the 10. Now, in last class, we put it in the box as 3x and 10x. In this case, we're going to use it to show this step here. We're going to make this 3x and 10x, or it could be 10x and 3x. The order does not matter. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and bring down the 6x to the second. Okay, instead of writing 13x, I'm splitting it up into 3x and 10x. So 3x plus 10x, which is still the same as 13x, but it's going to make it easier to do the next step. Okay, so this is matching this step here. I'm trying to get it back to here. Okay, so I'm trying to see, what did I multiply to get this? What did I multiply to get this? So we're going to do what we call factor by grouping. So I'm going to go ahead and look at the first pair of terms, the 6x to the second and the 3x. I'm going to take out the greatest common factor between those terms. Between 6x to the second and 3x, I'm going to take out a 3x. If I take out the 3x, then I'm going to get 3x times something gives me this. 3x times 2x is 6x to the second. 3x times 1 gives me 3x, so I'm going to put a 1 here. Okay, now I'm going to go to the second pair of terms. Actually, I'm going to bring down this plus sign too. There's a plus here. I'm going to bring down the plus. Now between the 10x and the 5, the common factor is a 5. So I'm going to take out the 5. 5 times something to give me 10x is 2x. 5 times 1 gives me 5. Okay, now this looks funny, but what I'm saying is I did 3x times 2x plus 1, plus I did 5 times 2x plus 1, and that's going to tell me that initially I had 3x plus 5, and then I multiplied both of those terms times 2x plus 1. And then we're going to go back and stare at it for a second. Okay, if you think about multiplying this out, I would take the 3x, and then I would multiply it times the 2x plus 1, which is what this is saying. And then I take the positive 5, I multiply it by the 2x plus 1, which is what this is saying. Okay, this is factored form, and this is the type of answer I'm going for. Now I'm going to go ahead and try the same method on the next one. If I want to check this, let me just make sure there's a coefficient here. If this were just x to the second, I would factor it in my head, but because there's a coefficient there that I cannot factor out, I'm going to multiply a and c together. So if I do 3 times 5, I get 15. Okay, I'm going to think of the factors of 15, but then remember they have to add up to 8x. So some of you are going to do it in your head. I'm going to write them out. So 5 times 3 and 15 times 1. The one that's correct is the one that adds up to 8. So that's going to be the 5 and the 3. I'm going to use this to split my 8x up. So the 3x to the second stays the same. Instead of writing 8x, I'm going to split that up into 5x plus 3x, because 5x plus 3x is the same as 8x. Okay, if you do 3x plus 5x, we're going to end up with the same answer at the end. Okay, now once I do that, I'm going to check each pair and I'm going to factor it by grouping. So if I go ahead and look at the first two terms, I'm going to take out a common factor. Let's see, 3x to the second and 5x, I can take out an x. If I take out an x, then this must be x times 3x is 3x to the second, x times 5 is 5x. Okay, I'm going to bring down this plus sign because it helps me keep track of my numbers. Okay, now I'm going to look at the second pair and see what I can take out. Let's see, they don't have an x. I don't see a number, but I have to factor something out for this method, so I'm going to factor out a 1, even though I know a 1 is normally not helpful. Okay, if I factor out 1, then this is 1 times 3x is 3x, and 1 times 5 is 5. Okay, now if I stare at this, I see I have x times 3x plus 5 plus 1 times 3x plus 5. They both have the 3x plus 5, which meant I really have x plus 1 times 3x plus 5. Okay, and remember the reason this works is because if I take the x and times it by 3x plus 5, that looks like this. I do positive 1 times 3x plus 5, that one's that one, so this is equivalent to that one. Okay, I'm going to keep doing it the same thing. I'm just adding some negatives in to see if that's something you need practice with. Okay, first I check. There is a coefficient on the x squared. If there was just x squared, I would do it in my head. I would not do extra work. Okay, 2 times 7 is 14. Okay, now to get 14, I could do 7 and 2. I could do 14 times 1. Okay, now I need to check and see which one adds up to negative 15. 14 plus 1 is the closest because that's positive 15. To make it add up to negative 15, I'm going to make it negative. So 2x to the second is the same. I'm going to split the 15x into minus 14x minus 1x. And I'll bring down the plus 7. Okay, I'm going to group it. So I'm going to look at the first two terms and take out the greatest common factor. I can take out a 2 and I can take out an x. Okay, so that'll be 2x times x minus 7. Okay, let me look at the next two terms. I'm going to bring down the minus sign. If you bring down the minus sign, it helps remind you. So let me look at the next two terms. Okay, between 1x and 7, there's not much to take out, so I'm just going to take out a 1. But that is a minus 1. So if I take out minus 1, this will be x. To get positive 7, I need minus 1 times minus 7. Okay, and then I'm going to stare at it. If these two match, it's a good sign. It means I probably did it right. Which means the two factors are going to be the 2x minus 1, and then I multiplied them by x minus 7. Okay, let me keep going. Okay, let me check first. Okay, there is a coefficient on the x squared, so I'm going to do it the long way. Let's see, 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times 3, 6 times 2. Oh wait, it's 6 and 2, huh? I'm trying to make it add up to negative 8. So 6 plus 2 is 8. I want it to be a negative 8, so let me make it negative 8. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and split up that middle term. Minus 6x minus 2x. And the order you do these two doesn't matter. It means that your work might look a little different, but our final answer will be the same. Let me go ahead and check the first two terms to group it. I can take out 2x. That'll leave me with 2x minus 3. Okay, I'm going to bring down this minus sign because this will help me keep track of the signs. Okay, now looking at the 2x and the 3, they don't have much in common, so I'm just going to take down a 1. That is a minus 1, though, because of the 1 I brought out. Okay, now if I bring out the 1, negative 1 times 2x is negative 2x. Negative 1 times negative 3 is positive 3. Okay, and then I want to make sure these match. If they don't match, I probably made a mistake, and I'm going to go back and check my signs. But since they do match, I can write my two factors. Okay, and then I'm good. If I wanted to check, I could multiply them back out. Okay, last two, I'm just adding a negative at the end. Okay, but again, check first. If this were just x squared, I would do this in my head. don't do the extra work unless I have to. So that's negative 14. Negative 14, let's see, is it 7 times negative 2? 7 minus 2 is 5. I want it to be negative 5. So let me make it negative 7, positive 2. Will that work? Yep, I think it'll work. Okay, so 2x to the second, and what do I have? Negative 7x and positive 2x? I'm going to do positive 2x and negative 7x. Because I'm tired of factoring out a 1. That's why. Okay, let me check the grouping. 2x squared and 2x. I can take out a 2x. And that leaves me with x plus 1. Okay, I'm going to bring down that minus sign. Okay, and then between the 7x and the 7, I can take out a 7. Negative 7 times x is negative 7x. Negative 7 times negative 1 gives me positive 7. Uh-oh, that doesn't look right. Negative 7 times positive 1 gives me negative 7. That looks better. I could tell that was wrong because these should match, and if they don't match, I've made a mistake. Okay, now I can go ahead and write my answer. And if you split your middle terms differently, you'll just have the same answer in the opposite order. Okay, let's do one more. Okay, let's see. Nope, there's an a in the front of x squared, so that's negative 20. What do I think? 10 times negative 2. What am I adding up to? I'm adding up to 1x. 10 minus 2 is 8x. That's no good. 5 times minus 4. 5 minus 4 is 1. Okay, that one can work. Okay, I'm going to split my middle term into positive 5x minus 4x because that is equal to x. Okay, and you could have the opposite order. We'll have the same answer at the end. Okay, between these two, let me take out the 5x. Okay, I'm going to bring down the minus sign. And then between these two, I'm going to take out the 4. Negative 4 times x. Negative 4 times positive 1 is negative 4. Okay, these match, so I probably did it correctly. If not, I would double check my work. Okay, and then go ahead and try the practice problems. When you're done, check your work with the ones posted on the calendar. And remember, if you have the same factors but in the opposite order, it's the same thing.